So this is rocking and rolling now. Um, okay. Starting up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Overcrank Podcast. We are your hosts, EJ McCarthy and
And Conor Heffernan. Welcome to another anti-review rendezvous.
oh yeah, what was it? We're happy and pleased to bring you a presentation today on the cinematic classic Rushmore. Yeah, one of these early Wes Anderson movies that has got its own sort of unique attitude and sort of vision about it, and we think there's a lot of comedy gold to mine in there as well. So yeah, without further ado, we'll kind of flip it over to Conor here so that he can kind of take you through a brief background of the movie. Then we'll get into some of our thematic elements, talk you through some ad hoc topics that just kind of didn't really fit within any of those themes. Speak to some of our kind of tried and true questions at the end, and then just wrap it up with a little summary. And that'll be it for us. So Conor, do you want to go ahead and kind of take the gang through this little adventure here?
That I can. So as EJ says, it's a Wes Anderson movie, one of his earlier ones, and I think if you watch it, you'll see that it's not quite. He hasn't quite developed the style he has in later movies, but you can see it's kind of on the way. There's a few little camera shots and pans that I think become quite distinctive of him later. But anyway, to sum up the plot of this wonderful movie, Rushmore is a quirky coming-of-age comedy drama centered around this guy Max Fisher, played absolutely perfectly by Jason Bateman in his feature film debut, funny enough. And he's basically this precocious, eccentric 15-year-old student at the prestigious Rushmore Academy.
Sorry, Conor, I got to stop you right there.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure it's Jason Bateman?
Oh fuck! It's Jason Schwartzman. Sorry.
I mean, Jason Bateman would be pretty funny. I mean, we can have a conversation about what this movie would be like with Jason Bateman in it.
Jason Bateman in the lead of this movie, I think, would have actually been quite fun. I mean, Horrible Bosses is kind of like, I suppose if Max Fisher grew up and had two friends who all hated their bosses, but maybe that's for another pod. But anyway, yes, you're right. Jason Schwartzman, in his feature film debut, plays the eccentric Max Fisher, a student at the prestigious Rushmore Academy. And the thing about Max is he's passionate about like a wide array of extracurricular activities. Starts various things like he's the president of the Beekeepers Association, captain of the fencing team, and then a little bit more obscure, he's, I think he started like a flying club and all these different things. So the problem with this, though, is that as he does all of these extracurricular activities, in particular writing plays that always have to have special effects, his academic performance has taken a bit of a hit, and he's put on what's called sudden death academic probation. And this is quite bad for Max because he, going to Rushmore is his favorite thing. He'd hate to lose it. So this is kind of what drives the start of the movie. So his life takes a bit of a turn when he befriends Herman Bloom, who's a sort of disillusioned industrialist and father of two of Max's classmates. And essentially, Herman and Max, despite probably like a 40-year age difference or something like that, they bond over their dissatisfaction with each of their lives. But the friendship, and quite a wholesome, nice friendship, I would say, becomes quite strained when they both fall for the same woman, Rosemary Cross, who is a teacher at Rushmore, who teaches first grade and is widowed. So the main drive of the movie is essentially a love triangle, and each of the characters are kind of sad in their own way in a proper Wes Anderson style. And so what happens with Max's obsession with Rosemary, it leads to a series of escalating schemes, causing him to get expelled from Rushmore. And then as Max navigates his feelings and the consequences of his actions, he learns valuable lessons about love, friendship, all that good stuff. And I think this is, for me, even though it's one of Wes Anderson's earlier movies, it's very nice in the sense that it deals with quite, I think, serious, quite sad, quite dark themes, but it deals with them with a very, very clever, humorous streak, I think. So I that's how I would sum up Rushmore. Do you have anything to like to add, EJ?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that really jumps to mind here is when you hear Wes Anderson movie, you usually think like paper mache puppets and things of that sort. There's none of that in this movie. So I was kind of waiting with bated breath for like my Grand Budapest Hotel style, like, oh, here's a little puppet scene of people going up up a mountain in a little cart to go to the hotel, or a Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, sort of underwater like collage or something like that. Sadly, no paper puppets to.
There's no stop motion in this movie. However, he might not have stop motion, but he does have that very Wes Anderson theme song, which seems to be in every movie with the.
Yeah, just drive you fucking insane right there.
It's like going, I don't know, it's like going to like a Swedish village or something, and just it's kind of imagine. I'd imagine that's what you'd hear if you went to some random backwards, incest village in Sweden. Just
yeah, intersperse a little yodeling, and you're good to go right there. Yeah. I can imagine that as like kind of like an early aughts like ringtone on a flip phone. Like just drive you fucking insane.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of always surprises me about Wes Anderson is he seems. When I first saw his movies, I thought, oh, this guy's definitely French or European. And then you find out he's actually American, which I didn't know. But then the more you watch this one, the more you think about it, it's like, wait, no, this is Wes Anderson probably in person is like, he acts like a European that I'd imagine Americans think Europeans act like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shit, I wouldn't know anything about that.
No, EJ, you've become very European since moving to Britain.
Oh yeah, I've assimilated to the culture. Can't you see?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so I think we're perhaps ready to hop on to some of our anti-review thematic hot takes. There is one thing I want to direct our viewers to, if I may, EJ, which is I don't know if you saw a few years ago Tom Cruise during when he was filming some Mission Impossible movie in London, and it was like COVID and there were restrictions, and he had like this massive freak out. I don't know if you remember.
Hold up, is this? No, I'm thinking of like Christian Bale where he's screaming like, "Get off the fucking set" or something like that.
No, that's Tom Cruise.
What? Oh no. Tom Cruise was COVID freak out, right?
Yeah, he was like, you have to stand. It's like you have to stand 2 meters apart, like just absolutely blowing a gasket over this thing. But anyway,
we're trying to fly fucking airplanes, okay? Or is it facilitate American propaganda, okay?
Yeah,
and save movies all in one fell stroke.
Yeah, that's the one. There is a fantastic and really well done parody of that. Where they switch in Wes Anderson, and he's like it's like Wes Anderson having a freak out, and it's well worth watching. But there's a bit in it where he's like, I made the Grand Budapest Hotel. You think I can't fuck your wife? It's well worth a watch if you're a Wes Anderson fan. It's very funny. If you love Wes Anderson and hate Tom Cruise, much like I do, you'll like this video.
You hate Tom Cruise?
Oh, we'll get into that in a future pod. I've done many a Tom Cruise rant in my day, but
okay, all right, fair enough. I mean, the way I look at it, Tom Cruise is entertaining. I mean, love him or hate him, he is entertaining. So you gotta take
we're gonna have to anti-review a Tom Cruise movie at some point and properly get into this. But anyway, moving right along to our hot takes of this movie. So I think the movie is very much seen as like, as I said, kind of a love triangle type thing, which really drives the plot. And it's kind of played, I mean, Max is obviously underage and he's in love with his teacher, but I think some of the behavior that him and Herman exhibit, you could really view this as a movie about how to deal with having stalkers, I think.
Stalkers? What kind of stalkers, Connor?
Well, one, I mean, you've got the Max Fisher character who's something of an incel, I think. He doesn't know what sex is. I mean, at one point the teacher even says to him, "And what would we do, Max? You're so much younger than me. Would we have sex?" And he's like, "Well, you don't need to sound so cheap about it." And then she kind of starts making a bit of an advance on him to make him feel nervous, and I think he like trips over some boxes. So I think he's clearly a little bit of an incel energy, I think, to the Max Fisher character. But he does sort of like do some very stalkerish things, like he pretends he gets hit by a car, so that he can get into her house and like play romantic music. And he makes like several moves on her during this movie, which I think if it was made today, it might get a bit more of a raised eyebrow.
Oh yeah, this thing will get friggin' smacked by the let's call it the Me Too movement.
Yeah, I think it might. And Herman seems Bill Murray's character is a little bit stalkery himself. There's literally I think one of their first interactions, she turns around and he's just hiding behind a tree, like looking at her with sunglasses on.
Oh yeah, just taking a little peek.
Taking a little peek, and then I think he comes in later in the film to her and kind of does a similar thing. Like he's looking at her through like her classroom window, and it's just like yeah, I feel the movie is a little bit like stalker-esque, and I don't think she deals with her stalkers in the best way.
So you're basically just like one kind of step short of like a Kieran Culkin like jerking off on the like a window pane or something like that while other people observe from the outside.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
There's I gotta say, was it just kind of going back to the Me Too-ish part of it and all? I think it's really there's an element of it that's actually really entertaining where they take the sort of focus of whichever man is sort of like highlighted at that juncture time. It's like, okay, back to my opinions about certain stuff right here. And the teacher lady, I think what her name was Miss Cross, right? Am I remembering that correctly? Yeah. So so she will like kind of chime in for maybe like a half second here or there, but it's like, no. You stay over there, lady. Okay, was it? We're not asking for your opinion right here. We're not soliciting your input with respect to what's going on with you. Okay, we are the experts on you. You know fuck all about yourself. Okay, but we are the experts here. Okay, and we would be happy to provide our expertise to you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's even that bit when she shows up to dinner with her boyfriend, which to be fair is quite a reasonable thing to do. And then Max takes it as like this, really the wrong way of like, who's this joker? It's like, I'm your man. What are you doing? It's like, dude, you're 15 years old. And then Bill Murray is like getting him drunk on like whiskey and everything. It's like, these are bad hombres, dude.
You hurt my feelings. This night was important to me.
It's like, oh, I'm a doctor and I went to Harvard. It's like, yeah, well, I just wrote a hit play. I guess neither of us is sweating it. He's just there's definitely something a bit incelly and a bit like bravado-y about the two of them. But so yeah, it seems to be you could kind of see this as maybe a movie about stalkers. But yeah, that was one of my takes on it. What about you, EJ? Do you think there's what hot takes did you have on this film?
I mean, hot takes. I mean, the one that really kind of jumps out to me is like the number of potential origin stories that exist in this movie.
Interesting.
So you could highlight the fact that Max kind of getting out of his school and sort of going on this kind of terrorist-y style rampage. I mean, it's kind of like a young Hitler origin story. Like, like
it's like get kicked out of school. Definitely a little bit. He's a bit obsessed with like explosions and military history type things in his plays.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Origin story of a school shooter as well. I mean, literally like goes to school with a little fucking air rifle and it just murks the Scottish kid. It's like, oh yeah, let's go ahead and kill the people that aren't like us. Let's do that. That seems like
let's kill the people who are mean to me.
They said bad words. They said mean things.
Yeah. My teacher, who's also my girlfriend, rejected me. The Scottish kid was mean to me because I never put him in my plays. I'm just going to shoot this place up. There's definitely a bit of a school shooter, but it's like an upper class school shooter.
Yeah. Real pinkies up shit right there.
You don't really see enough upper class school shooters these days.
Bill Murray with sort of his there's a couple of scenes where he's in the Catholic Church, I think, and you can kind of see that as like, oh, a Father Touch Boys origin story as well.
Father Fiddler.
Yeah, yeah. Your good friend Father Fidley.
My good friend Father Fiddley. Yeah, that's
There's
interesting. There's another. There's a bit of a scene. When I don't think Bill Murray's character is akin to Trump, but I definitely think his kids are akin to Trump's kids. Like there's that bit when he picks them up from school and they start fighting, and it's like, Don, will you stop fighting? It reminds me very much of like a young Don Jr. and Eric Trump.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like honestly, I would love to see like a little spin-off series, like not just a movie, but like a series of like the adventures of Eric and Don Jr. and
Yeah.
just
Like,
adventures in cocaining and whoring or something like that.
yeah. Oh, they love a bit of cocaine and whoring. Like there's that bit, like even their dad says to them, it's like, oh, why don't you guys invite Max Fisher to your birthday party? And their response is actually so weird. It's like, Dad, there's gonna be girls there.
you could definitely see someone
women there.
you could definitely see someone from like a really kind of upper crust political family like acting that sort of way right there.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, yeah.
I wouldn't
I
necessarily
feel actually not even like the kids of them. I feel like Obama could be bringing Clinton somewhere, and it'd be like, that Tim Walz guy seems pretty nice, Bill. What do you think about your party? It's like, Obama, there's gonna be girls there. Just Bill. What do you think, Bill Clinton? I mean, because I feel people like him who'd be proper horn dogs wouldn't exactly change their color. So I like the idea that he'd be going around now. It's like, hey, darling, you want to see my catheter?
Oh, here's a fun game. Like substitute characters in this movie for American presidents.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I feel that there is so much comedic value. There's so much comedic value in like switching out Max Fisher for George W. Bush. It's like, starting the Iraq Society and the WMD's Finders Club. It's like I feel there's because Max is somewhat of a fuck up, I feel George W. Bush is just a perfect just slot in there. And then and then he goes to his dad and it's like, my dad might only be a former president, but we manage.
I think Max's dad, Jimmy Carter, definitely just like happy, nice fella.
Nice guy. Just a guy from a time before things went to shit.
Yeah, for sure. Whereas I feel like Bill Murray's character, that's maybe tailor-made for either a Gerald Ford, maybe, or even like a Reagan type fella.
I don't know about Reagan. I think Gerald Ford, because he's kind of a nothing character in a lot of ways. Yeah, a little bit. I think you could probably easily, I know she wasn't president, but you could easily slot in Hillary to being like Miss Cross.
Yeah, I mean,
there'd be some.
It's an easy win right there. Particularly the scene where it's like, oh well, people would only refer to it as having sex if they haven't fucked before. I'm like, I can see Hill Dog dropping a.
Yeah, I can see Hillary doing that. I feel there's a place for Bill Clinton in this movie. I'm not quite sure where though. Maybe it's the guy she brings to dinner. It's like, who's this joker? It's like, this is my husband, Bill. Hi, we met in the White House. It's like, yeah, I used to be the president of the United States. Yeah, well, I just wrote a hit play, so I guess neither of us is sweating it.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I feel there's something there. Could you slot Obama into this movie, do you think?
Maybe the Scottish guy. It's like, I've always wanted to be in one of your places. Like, I've always wanted to be president, but you never let me.
Yeah, so you can just switch Rushmore out for like the Senate or something, and it's like, I always wanted to be in the White House.
I don't know, maybe that's more like a Bernie Sanders type character. Like, I've always wanted to be president, but
I always wanted to be president. Yeah, but the Scottish guy did get in one of the plays. I don't think Bernie will ever get to be president.
Oh yeah, facts.
Yeah.
But yes. Definitely a lot of meat on the bone there.
I feel Trump as the Scottish guy is even funnier for some reason.
How so?
I don't know. It's like, I mean, there is literally one bit where Max shoots him in the ear.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, cool. Political assassinations. That's chill. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you now.
Yeah, and maybe the guy, maybe what was his name, Thomas Crooks could play Max Fisher in this movie.
Ooh. Or what about the little kid Dirk or Dirk's mom?
Dirk.
Who plays Dirk's mom?
Dirk's mom. I feel it would have to be someone in like U.S. politics who's like, you know.
Lindsey Graham.
Oh no, I know. Okay, so Dirk could be Biden, and Dirk's mom could be Kamala Harris.
That's interesting.
I could so see him riding around on his bike. It's like, you said my VP gave you a hand job. And then George Bush was like, who told you that damn lie?
Oh Lord.
I feel that works.
Even though it's not like an origin story necessarily, there's a scene in here that has like real kind of like Great Gatsby vibes from what jumped at me. So they're in the back of it's Max and Bill Murray's character. They're sitting in the back of the car talking about how Max was in love with her first, and says, I think Bill Murray says back like, "You think she even loves you?" And then says like, "Oh, I guarantee she doesn't and never will." And that's like, there's a couple of like scenes in The Great Gatsby with Max as kind of a parallel to Jay Gatsby, and Murray as a parallel to Tom in that book. So just highlighting like, oh, new money, insecurities, like trying to like do all these things to sort of feel great about themselves, but still being looked down upon by people who have already kind of, been there, even if they didn't have a hand in getting themselves there. So they're, that actually might serve as a nice segue into Max's activities, a little discussion about Max's activities.
Yeah, because we've touched on the sort of, incel-y nature that he kind of gives off in this movie. Although I guess this movie was made before incels were kind of a thing. And yeah, he has like all these activities, like, he plays Russia at the Model UN. He's, president of the Beekeepers Association.
Yeah, just rattle them off real quick. Like,
fuck, put me on the spot here. Okay.
Here, no, I got the list here, dude. I got the list. So,
you got the list.
Yeah. So we've got the publisher of the Yankee Review, the president of the French Club, the Russian representative for Model UN, that's aged poorly, the VP of the Stamp and Coin Club, captain of the debate team, lacrosse team manager, calligraphy club president, astronomy club founder, the fencing team captain. He's a JV decathlete on the track and field team. He's the second chorale, he's the corps master of the second chorale. I don't know exactly what that is. Not really a singer there. Founder of the Bombardment Society, which is dodgeball. Let's see, yellow belts on the Kung Fu Club. Founder of the Trap and Ski Club. President of the Rushmore Beekeepers. Founder of the Yankee Racers, a go-kart club. Founder of the Max Fisher Players, and has logged 4.5 hours as a trainee in a Piper Cub club. So as a pilot. So
also, I think he started like the Backgammon Society as well.
Yes, Backgammon Society for sure. Do
you know what? It's interesting that all of these different clubs, there's so many and they're so obscure, but they literally come into the film at some other point, every single one of them.
Yes, absolutely. Like they all kind of play their own little role. Now, what's cool about this is like, this gives us a window into like the Max that we see. But I think both of us maybe are a bit more interested in the activities that the Max we don't see is getting up to. So what are the adult nightclub versions of these particular activities? Like what sort of groups or coalitions has Max put together, either during his naughty night time as a child, or in the shadows of his own adulthood?
I think one definitely, he was probably VP of the Sandpaper Dildo Society.
Sandpaper Dildo Society sounds painful, man. Was it?
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. All right. I don't know if your school had one. My school had one. We just
hopefully you bumped it to a mirror sheen afterwards. Like you gotta like kind of sand down the rough bits right there, and then you oil it up right afterwards. Am I kind of getting the order correct there?
I don't think you want to oil it up. I think you want to keep it as rough and ready as you want. Like, I'd imagine, I don't know who uses them. I'm sure someone does. I mean, the amount of I don't know if you had this in your school actually, EJ. Did you?
Yeah.
My
Speaking of
school was
sandpaper dildos
not
in
quite
school, yeah.
sandpaper dildo, but I don't know if the I remember, I don't know if this is a thing in American schools, but in my school, anytime someone found a really weird, sexually extreme video, they would just show everyone in class. So, like, there was one of this guy, he would, like, shove a jam jar up his ass. There was another one.
Oh yeah, shout out Two Girls One Cup.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. So maybe there was the Jam Up His Ass Association. That I think that I could kind of see Max Fisher doing that a little bit. I could see him being president of like the Latex and Leather Society as well.
Latex on the side.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's another origin story right there. Maybe Max is actually the Gimp from Pulp Fiction.
I could definitely see him as the Gimp from Pulp Fiction. I feel that'd be a perfect, like, if you freeze frame at the Gimp scene in Pulp Fiction, and it's like freeze framing on the Gimp and just Max Fisher's voice. Hi, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Well, let me tell you, it all started when I was 15 years old and I met a girl that was twice my age.
And I fell in love with my teacher, who then fell in love with my 40-year-old best friend.
Oh yeah. By the way, what the fuck with Max having a 40-year-old best friend? Like, how creepy and fucked up is that? Like, viewed through like today's lens, right there.
It's definitely a little bit like Catholic Church vibe. I'm not gonna lie. Father Fiddley is strong with that one.
Yeah, I mean Herman is, as a first name, is not too far away from Herbert from Family Guy. So.
Yeah. Maybe it's where they got the idea from. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit strange. Like, it's oddly wholesome in a weird way, because I think it's kind of more like a father-son relationship, right? Because Max, is kind of a little bit embarrassed by his father and their background, and Bill Murray's character just absolutely fucking hates his kids. You're never really shown why he hates them so much. Like, at one point he goes like, Max, in a million years, I never thought I'd have kids like this. And like, all they were doing at the time was wrestling, and they were on the wrestling team. So it's never really explained why he hates them so much.
I think maybe they're just like soulless fucking meatheads.
Probably.
I mean, his wife clearly seems to be fucking checked out, and he seems to be pretty fucking checked out on his just entire family dynamic. He's like, here I am. I'm in the thick of it, man. I'm riding the lightning, riding the domestic lightning right now.
Yeah.
And all I could think about is, man, how great it would be if I could just kind of take that revolver, have the courage to spin it around a couple of times and suck on the old straw.
Yeah, I think. What other societies do you think Max might have? I can kind of see him starting like a Dutch and horse fucking society.
Dutch and horse fucking society.
Yeah,
like fucks Dutch horses, or like there are
no, it's like a jewel club. So they get together and they talk about like Dutch culture and they do the language, and then just completely disconnected from that, they also fuck horses and get fucked by horses.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's cool. I like how you brought kind of like two discrete bits together. Maybe a machinist society, so like, or a metalworking society. Or I'm not quite sure how to sexualize that one in as good a way, but yeah, maybe just don't stick your dingling next to the miter saw or something like that.
Well, they could make that might be too bad by itself, but they could make the sandpaper dildos for the Sandpaper Dildo Society.
I could see Max being like a part of like an ESG club in like today's day and age. Like like if you have like a today's day and age sort of ecosystem, yeah, probably like some sort of like shave the whales type thing.
Shave the whales. Yeah, they got too much hair. It's causing global warming.
But yeah, so I'm sure if I ruminate on that a little bit more, I'll be able to come up with something good, like the fake mustache society. Like
fake mustaches are a useful thing to have, man. They've got me out of some sticky situations in the past.
Yeah, haberdashery club.
Curiosity, because the thing is, EJ, I mean, you went to America, so maybe this is a little bit of an outsider thing, but I feel Europeans, from watching American movies, have a certain idea of what American high school is like. So, out of curiosity, like, did you have a model UN, for example?
I don't think we did.
Okay.
As far as I recall, we had a debate society.
Uh-huh.
So you had some pretty smart cookies in there. But as far as like Model UN, nah. I mean, we were right, 3 blocks away from the Capitol though. So we
Oh,
kind of
nice.
got our
You got all that.
Model UN in kind of
Yeah.
real time, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. And what country do you think you would have been in a Model UN?
Oh, probably something like wacky. Maybe like Turkmenistan. Is that the one where like they got like the Sultan there who like just kind of rules by decree and he's like, yeah, the we can't have the color orange anywhere
Yeah.
within our country. So no one gets to have the color orange, and we're only gonna let people wear shoes that's our size 10, 13, and 3. Okay. Any other
Mm,
shoe sizes, okay, was it you either have to make do with what's there, okay, or no
mhm.
shoes for you. Um,
I could
so
see you being Turkmenistan in your Model UN.
yeah, like and like really getting behind those types of policies of like we need more fucking ridiculous shit going on here, okay? Like because
Mhm.
honestly, the world is like a flaming dumpster fire, and we're here to alleviate some of that stress and tension that some of these bigger geopolitical players are facilitating for y'all. Okay, so we want to just kind of just stroke the knob a little bit for you, okay, and just
Mhm.
release that tension, you know?
Okay, so if you were the Sultan of Turkmenistan, and they came up to you and said, "Oh, Sultan, we've got a big problem. We've got this massive budget deficit." Your answer would be, "Well, just put a chicken or make a gay."
Oh, yeah, of course. Like Kathleen Kennedy would absolutely become like my whatever the equivalent of like a Secretary of State is in Turkmenistan.
Hmm.
They might even have a Secretary of State.
I'd really like to see Kathleen Kennedy leading a country. I think it'd be the funniest thing ever.
I'd love to see Kathleen Kennedy leading a very conservatively minded country, say like
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia or Iran or something like that.
Can you imagine Kathleen Kennedy as like it's like that? That'd be a great idea for apparently she wants to leave Lucasfilm with a bang. That should be her last movie. It's like Kathleen Kennedy. There's like the entire royal family of Saudi Arabia are assassinated, and it turns out through some weird connection, Kathleen Kennedy is now the rightful heir to the Saudi throne, and she becomes the queen of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it's like
That would be a solid movie.
it's like Argo 2, you're gay too, or something like that.
Yeah.
Directed by Ben Affleck, screenplay by Aaron Sorkin,
Oh
and
yeah, oh yeah, get all the heavy hitters.
yeah.
Timothy Chalamet would, I don't know, be head of the religious police or something.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like he crushed it in Dune Part 2, man. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can see him
he's in
working
everything.
well in like a desert style movie.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that would be a solid movie. But yeah, I think we've run through quite a few of the themes for this movie. I think maybe a couple of quick fires here. I want to talk to you about the opening of the movie, which I feel, as we are
Yeah.
PhD holders from an academic prestigious institution, I think we can appreciate the opening of the nerd's wet dream.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. And yeah, the question then becomes like, all right, so just to give a bit of background prompt for y'all, the movie basically starts out with um the teacher of a classroom of high school age students putting a couple of math problems on the board and solving like kind of a basic algebra problem for the students. And then one of the students chimes in and says, "What's that one on the left hand corner?" And she's like, "Yeah, this is the hardest math problem known to man." And if it's like, "Oh, cool, could
But
we get extra credit if we solved it?" It's like the teacher then says, like, "Oh, if you did, I would ensure to it that you would never have to open another fucking math textbook again." And then he calls on Max in this sort of like wet fever dream, and
yeah,
just brings him up to the board and says like, "Yeah, I'll have a crack at it," and just starts going away on his little chalkboard there, and comes up with pi equals 12 or something like that. Who the fuck knows? But
well, EJ, I actually had a look at the problem that the teacher puts on the board, because when he
yeah,
said this is the hardest geometry problem in the world, not even my professors at like MIT could solve this one. So I decided to have a look at it. Do, do you want to know what the problem was?
I actually would. Yeah. Drop some knowledge on me, dude.
Okay, EJ. So let me know if you think this is a super, super difficult problem. Okay, so the problem is you have an ellipse, a pretty straightforward ellipse. It's just defined by the normal equation of x squared over a plus y squared over b equals 1. So you're not even like, it's centered at the origin. There's nothing too crazy
Cool.
about it.
Cool.
Okay,
Got an
we
ellipse.
good?
I'm with you.
Okay. And you would have to use, and the problem wants you to use calculus to find the area.
Okay, so I could see that being maybe problematic for a 15-year-old, but I think that if
You find
anyone's
it
kind of
problematic for an MIT professor?
I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some MIT professors that are very on the spectrum. If you're not talking about their particular fields, they might have trouble with things. They kind of get tunnel vision there, but who knows, man? Maybe it's different at places like Caltech or something like that. But
could be. It's quite funny though, because they do a similar thing in Good Will Hunting, where they have math problems on the board, and I think what's quite they never put actual hard math problems on the board, which I always think is quite funny. Like in Good Will Hunting, apparently the problem was just to draw a bunch of graphs that had certain specifications, which I feel most people probably could do. But yeah, I was disappointed to see that the problem in Rushmore wasn't the most difficult geometry problem in the world.
So I got a fun little fact for you here. So during my my undergraduate years at BC, a running gag I would have is I would actually put the Good Will Hunting like math problems on this big like chalkboard that was in the science biology hybrid physics department. And I would just like every month or so they'd kind of like wipe it off, and I'd sort of creep in there, kind of towards the end of the day and just start turning up there again. just kind of like an early age troll move, to say the least. Now, in fairness, I thought those problems were a little bit more confusing than the one you just described with our friend Max Fisher here. But I imagine that for people who are learned in the art, probably not too crazy right there.
Maybe, but I do love his response. Like he's just he's got the book and it's just, or he's reading the newspaper and it's just like, did somebody say my name? And then he goes up and like solves the math problem. It's like, I like doing math in school. I always wish that had happened to me someday.
So that kind of begs the question, like, define the ultimate nerd wet dream, because this is definitely, I imagine this is definitely up there, but we also did Transformers last week. And in fairness, Transformers in its totality could be viewed as just a wet dream for Sam Witwicky. Like there were actually no robots in real life that actually crossed his transom. It was just him fucking hallucinating or something along those lines.
I feel for our version of Sam we came up with last week, Sam Dick Drippy would have been a better Sam Dick Drippy. Okay, so I'll give my version of what I think the ultimate nerd wet dream is, and then you can give me your version.
Sure.
I think it probably does start very much the same way. It's like you go up, you solve this equation, but I think the stakes on the equation have to be a little bit higher, because I think even in like a nerd's dream, they wouldn't think that like most of the class would care. This has to be an equation that solving it would earn them the respect of their cohort. So it'd be like something. It's like, oh, this equation can predict the lottery, and then we'll all get that money, but so it's like you go up and you solve it, you win the lottery, then everyone's like, oh, you've made us all rich, yay nerd. So then at that point the Transformers come in, or some sort of alien or like sci-fi thing comes in, and it's like, oh well, you've solved this equation which has implications across like time and space, so we're going to need you to come and like save the day. So then you go with them and save the day. There's a bit where, because I feel every good nerd probably has like a good bully, there's a bit where you just punch them in the face and then steal their girlfriend. That's got to be it. That's got to be in there. And then I think at the end, you're honored by I don't know, the leader of your country or whatever. I think that's probably
like the end scene of Star Wars, like the first Star Wars.
Or probably getting the exact same medal as well. But I don't know.
Not if you're Chewie, though. Not if you're a Harry person.
No, not if you're a Harry. Oh yeah, if you're too Harry, forget it. Solidarity with Chewbacca and everything. But what about you, EJ? Would your nerd wet dream be a little bit different, or what do you think?
So I think you got a lot of the core elements there. I think one of the things you're missing is a reliance on some sort of like esoteric fucking item that only the dreamer
MacGuffin.
gives a fucking. So like a stamp collection or something like that. Like how my stamp collection saved the world, or how my interest in botany was able to like do a thing, or I collected seashells and made decorative necklaces out of them, and here's how that basically some sort of like MacGuffin that just no one would give a fuck about otherwise.
I don't understand. What do you mean my magic goldfish will save the universe? That kind of thing.
So I think there needs to be some element of like just something that really 99.9% of the populace just doesn't give a fuck about, and how that's really significant to the dude.
What do you think your MacGuffin would be in your nerd dream?
So when I was a kid, I really liked trading cards. So NFL and NBA trading cards, as well as Pokemon and Star Wars trading cards. I mean, I feel like Pokemon cards were like freaking all the rage. But this may be a little bit before your time, Connor, and it may not have made its way across the ocean. But there were these things called Pogs, which was just like little cardboard pieces with like stickers on them. And for some reason or another, like they were like the hit thing when I was like 5 and 6 years old. Like you were judged by the quality of your Pog collection. And for some reason, so that just like kind of jumps as like, that seems like the kind of fucking thing that would be in a nerd wet dream right there. Like, oh yeah, like check out my Pog collection. Oh, by the way, look at this. Like, let me use my slammer here to get all the girls. These are true bits of Pog collecting lingo, by the way. So for all you Pog heads out there,
that's I think for me it'd probably be like Yu-Gi-Oh cards or something. But I think maybe another good nerd MacGuffin would be like it's like the item in your wallet is what's going to save the universe. You mean the condom I've been saving since I was 16 and I'm now 29? It could be like, I don't know, Harry Potter and the Condom of Consequence or something.
Yeah. Connor, I have a question for you. Since Ireland is pretty prominently like Roman Catholic, at least in the southern areas and all, do you have like condoms brought to you by the Roman Catholic Church? Like is there like a church sponsored condom?
Not really. The Catholic Church has lost a lot of influence. However, this does remind me of a fantastic story. So would you like to know what happens in Irish sex education class, EJ?
Oh, I'd love to. And tell me why it involves potatoes.
So this is going to sound like a joke. I swear to God, this is what actually happened in our sex education class. So you don't get it until you're 18, firstly. So they bring you into this room and they're like, okay, we're going to teach you about condoms. And you're like, okay. So they're like, they get this massive fucking suction dildo and put it on the table and like, okay, you're going to need to put a condom on this. And all of us were kind of like, okay, that makes sense, I guess. But to give it just that Irish twist, they also gave us actual drunk goggles and said, use those to put on the condom. It's like these people know, these people know what they're talking. But the beer goggles are like, you cannot see a thing. It's like just putting paper up against your eyes and you're just there fiddling with the condom. It's insane.
It's like, give me a little bit more credit than that. Like, I mean, Jimmy over there may not be able to hold his liquor, okay, but I'm a fucking pro. Right?
Yeah, but I think someone said to the instructor, it's like, listen, if you were this drunk that this is what would happen to your eyesight, you would not be hard enough to put on a condom.
yeah, the old whiskey coming in.
Yeah, so that is Irish sex education.
I like that. Thanks for that journey down memory lane there, Connor. I appreciate that.
Yeah, makes me very happy. Okay, so EJ, I think maybe we've come to our couple of quick fire little set questions, if that's all, if that sounds fine and dandy to you.
Let me just take one last little look here at kind of our ad hoc corner here. Just kind of another question we could potentially bandy about, like what conversations might Max have with his barber, or what conversations might you have with your barber? Like,
yes, that is sorry, my laptop is dying. Yeah, because there is there's quite a few haircuts in this movie, which doesn't happen in a lot of movies.
Yeah, normally when you've got like a movie with like a bunch of haircuts, normally someone gets their like throat slashed, like in The Untouchables or something like that. Yeah, normally there's a good old throat slash.
Good old throat slash, yeah. It does make me think, like, what do people think about when they're getting their hair cut by their barber? Because most people don't talk to their barber, I don't think.
Really?
Well, I don't think I do. I mean, I'm a pretty chatty person, but I don't know. It's a weird thing of like when I get my hair cut, I think that's that's time for me. That's time for me to reflect.
Yeah, your own quiet happy time. I got you.
Yeah. It's yeah. But
do you play with yourself underneath the smock? Just to kind of like make it fucking weird for you and the barber?
Oh, always. What do you think I use as the hair gel?
What do I think you use as the hair gel? I mean,
It's like
I don't know, dude. Like maybe neck sweat. Like you could use a little neck sweat and just kind of like dab that shit on there.
Yeah, it's a bit like I love that I love that scene in Futurama when the guy offers Fry some hair gel and Fry is just like, no thanks, I make my own. And he just like, you can hear the sliminess of when he runs his hand through his hair. Yeah, I don't know. I think it is a deep reflective time of kind of, when you're with the barber. But what kind of conversations would you have with your barber, EJ?
I mean, it depends on like how long we've been sort of having a professional relationship, if you will. And I'd say over here in the UK, I haven't had much luck with barbers. So my conversations are like pretty superficial in nature, like as the British people do, like, oh, how's the weather today? Like, would you like a spot of tea? Things of that sort. I guess if you're like Scottish, it'd be like or something like that. I mean, that's kind of the way that I've kind of seen Scottish.
What's it like getting because I've had a couple of haircuts in America during my time, and they feel like I feel European barbers are very like it's like, oh, I know you're just gonna chill. This is your like self-reflection time. There's something cold about an American haircut. It feels. I mean, I know it's always a transaction, but it feels very transactional in America.
Yeah, well, if you go to an actual barbershop, there's 110% chance that your barber is going to be named Bub. Okay, and that's the only name he goes by. Like, you have no idea what the guy's first name or last name is. Okay, it's just Bub. And
Okay.
And yeah, so Bub will just to give you a bit of background of Bub might own like a Hemi truck. Okay, he might go on hunting trips with his buddies. So nothing wrong with hunting, but just kind of paint a little bit of a picture for you right here. He might let's see, be a little bit pissed off, but maybe inclined to a conspiracy theory or two, and just start, as opposed to you broaching a topic with him, he might just start talking at you, and you just kind of sit there and take it because he's the guy with the fucking scissors, okay? And all you want is a fucking haircut, and you don't want to get fucking stabbed in the eyeball or something by Mr. Screwloose.
Yeah. So Bob might be like, I love cutting your hair because you're a good white American.
Oh yeah, something just like he'll drop in something like just a little bit dicey, like not so much that it's gonna like kind of raise a red flag in sort of like the overall populace, but enough where you kind of know like this is where this man stands on certain issues.
It's like, oh boy, I won't come back here again.
Yeah, so that's a thing right there. There's one other thing I wanted to kind of highlight in this kind of ad hoc corner as well, kind of before we shift on to our like sort of standard salvo to wrap things up. But and that was how would you break the news about a significant other cheating to that person's significant other? So and how would you do it in a comical way? Like what elements would be associated with that?
Yes, for to remind our viewers, there's a great scene in the movie when Max decides to tell Herman's wife that he's cheating on her with Miss Cross, and he like meets her at this like car park at the top of a building, and then he like leads her over and it's like, "Would you like a sandwich?"
Then he has like an array of different sandwiches.
Yeah, he has like a tuna sandwich and he has a peanut butter and jelly. And I love that without skipping a beat, she just takes the tuna. She's like, "I'll have the tuna fish." And then he says, "Would you like some milk or orange juice?" She's like, "Just get to the point." It's like, Jesus. It's like she must have been hungry but not thirsty. But Yeah,
Comes
it's
to
an
what?
interesting question. How would you break the news? To be honest, I think I would nearly steal it from this movie and just offer someone like a sandwich. But to maybe go with something more original, if I was to break the news that someone was cheating on someone, but in a comical way, I think I would maybe. I feel you have to offer them something, like something sweet or something to nibble on, something of that nature. So I think I would offer them something slightly disappointing. It's like, would you like a Sprite Zero? Because it's like, as upset they might be about their partner cheating on them, they're going to be more disappointed with a Sprite Zero. Because like, if
A
you're going to have a
diet
Sprite,
caffeine-free cola.
yeah, yeah. So I think I'd say, would you like a Sprite Zero? It's like, yeah, sure. It's like, yeah, your husband's cheating on you. How do you think you would break? Or maybe to get away from like maybe food and beverages, I think maybe I would meet them at like a bouncy castle or something.
It's been a bouncy castle.
Yeah. It's like you bring them on a bouncy castle. It's like, hey, this guy brought this bouncy castle. It was supposed to be for a kid's birthday, but he messed up the address. But he just left it here. Why don't we hop in the bouncy castle? And then you're bouncing and you're bouncing and you're bouncing and you're like, hey, are you having as much fun as me? And it's like, yeah. It's like, yeah. Your husband's cheating on you.
I'd probably do it at like so this is working on the assumption that they have small children. I would probably have that conversation with them in the nursery or primary school so that when their reaction occurs, it scares all the fucking children as well. So like you have like a shared catharsis, okay? Mommy's not just crying, all 20 children in the fucking classroom.
Yeah. That's a good one. To be
Or
honest,
alternatively, slip a little X-Lax in their coffee, all right, and then
ooh,
tell them while they're on the shitter because
yeah,
they've got immediate problems they got to deal with. Okay, so
yeah.
maybe let's things to kind of digest a little bit easier, like psychologically, things aren't digesting well, sort of physically.
Yeah. Just knocking on the stall. Are you okay? It's like, yeah, I'm fine.
Your
It's
wife
like,
fucked your
yeah,
friend.
your husband's cheating on you. Yeah, I think that's a good one. To be honest, I think probably the most economical place to do it would be you'd invite them to like a divorce lawyer convention and you tell them there. And it's like, listen, I know you're upset, but I'm telling you in the place where you are guaranteed to get the best price.
That's really smart, actually. That's the sign of a good friend right there.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Okay,
Okay.
shall we proceed onwards?
I think we should proceed onward. So, EJ, I think with this movie in particular, we are spoiled for choice. But what would be your favorite line?
Oh baby. Let's see. Let's just give me a moment to ruminate here. All right. I do like the sort of back and forth with Max and Herman when Max asks Herman, like, hey, do you serve in Vietnam? It's like, yeah, I served. Like, were you in the shit? Yeah, I was in the shit. Like, for no other reason than I think it's just kind of funny.
Yeah, it's and the setting as well. It makes it very funny. Like at the wrestling match, buying popcorn, and he's just like Max, just like to this millionaire. It was like, yeah, it's on me. Don't worry. Yeah, there is something. And I feel only Bill Murray could have pulled it off like that.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Casting choice. I think for me, I really love the line when they spend all the money on that like aquarium at the baseball pitch, and Herman walks off and lights up a cigarette when the whole thing is a failure, and he's just like, I spent $8 million on this, and then Max just says, is that all you're willing to spend?
Yeah.
I think that for me is my favorite line.
That's a good gagger. Like, yeah, I mean, I feel like most of the really good ones are like, yeah, Herman and Max kind of like back and forth.
Yeah.
Like
they've got such a good back and forth.
I need $35,000 for the initial plans to be drawn up. It's like, I'll give you $2,500. Like,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, no, and even all the just they're such a wholesome friendship. I feel like even the bit where they're rehearsing for his play and just running through Herman's factory with like pipes and stuff. It's very wholesome. Yeah, I think I mean there are just so many good lines in this movie. But
Or the line about the where'd you go to college? Like, oh, I went to Harvard. Like, oh,
yeah.
cool. Yeah, well, I'm applying to Oxford and the Sorbonne. Harvard's my safety school. I'm thinking of majoring in math.
Yeah,
And
what a douchebag.
it's like, holy fuck. Have you ever met someone you wanted to like just punch right in the fucking dick? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
speaking of dick punches, but like that's the dick punch that it's just screaming for a fucking beating. Like,
Mhm.
like
So,
my daddy makes a lot of money and my mommy has Botox and like I want you in your childhood to be ruined. That's what I want for you. I want nothing but bad things for you, my friend.
So is Max Fisher the character you think you dick punch?
So you got to take, you can't just view Max as a single character. You have to view him as a character within different slices of time, because Max in the early stages is an insecure fella who's like overcompensating for those insecurities by doing all these fucking clubs, like hitting on older chicks, and trying to sort of like boost up his ego in the eyes of others, because he feels fucking inadequate. So I would say that to that Max needs a hug. Middle Max, where he's like kind of in that transitionary, like nihilistic phase of like everything sucks and I'm just going to be a barber. Like, and
Yeah.
that's the guy I feel like who really needs the dick punch. He needs to feel something. Okay, so it might as well be a little bit of pain. Yeah, End Max, where he's like, oh, let's have some catharsis. Let's have a nice like let's reach out. Let's be let's offer the peace pipe or the peace branch to the people we've hurt in the past, and kind of build ourselves back up the au natural way. That kid, just deserves like a little pat on the back. So yeah, nihilistic Max, dick punch.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm trying to think who I would dick punch in this movie. I think I would dick punch Dr. Guggenheim. He just seems like such a dickhead.
You can see this is like also kind of an origin story for the was it Roy from Succession? What's his name? Logan Roy from Succession.
Yeah,
like a real precursor character there.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just so like I don't know. There's something just really slimy about him. It's like, yeah, I got you this scholarship, but by the way, I'm going to kick you out of this school. I don't know. There's just something I don't like about him. And like even in the scene where he had the stroke and he's in hospital, I still didn't feel bad for him.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
So I guess in the opposite slice, who would you think you'd like to get a drink with?
Ooh, probably Dirk's mom or Dirk. One of the two. I think Dirk's mom, because she's sort of like Stifler's mom. Talking about origin stories, like I feel like this is the origin story for Stifler's mom as well. She seems like she'd be a hell of a good time, even if you're not like kind of getting it on like a little bit later. There's definitely just some entertaining stories you can get from her. So Dirk's mom, 110%. And if Dirk's mom isn't available, cool. Like, let's go for a soda pop with like little Dirk and see like the kind of weird shit he fucking says. That's like kind of culturally unattended, like the slightly kind of like autistic tics that he kind of brings into conversation.
Yeah. So like things like, so Dirk, what was it about your dad your mom liked?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah. I think
has your mother always been a whore or just recently?
I think I would go with the Scottish guy, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he just seems like I'll put it this way, EJ. I think if you go out with a Scottish guy, you're never going to be disappointed.
Okay. Are you speaking from experience here, Connor?
Not really, but they're just they're pretty wild. They have a fun time. I think you'd never be bored. And I feel there was a bit of complexity to him, he was like picking on Max, but all he wanted was to be in one of his movies.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe he's like the origin story for like a young Jared Butler or something.
Oh, word, my nerd. Okay, I got you. I'm on it with you. I'm on it with you.
Mm,
Okay, cool. I think those are all kind of like good picks right there. Like there's some sound reasoning behind it, so I can get on board with those.
mm, definitely. So how do you think? What kind of angle would you take if you were going to make a sequel for this movie?
Oh shit. I mean, I feel like in a way there's already kind of a sequel sort of built in with respect to all these origin stories. So I'm gonna go with the Life Aquatic as like an element of a sequel right there. Bill Murray, because yeah, he becomes kind of jaded with aquarium making in high schools. He decides, all right, I need to go like full bore. I need to lean into this aquatic life much more hardcore than I've been doing. He goes and does that. Let's see the I mean, that's just kind of like a fun little connector right there. But actual sequel idea, the easiest one's probably like, okay, Max and um, Miss Cross finally get it on, or Max and Margaret Yang finally get it on, and cool, they have a kid. Now the kid is like a douchebag, like he's the I don't know, doppelganger to Max when he was a kid or something like that.
Yeah.
And it just kind of shows a contrast. Maybe he starts out in public school, but then gets put into like rich kid school, and he's like, "Fuck all these kids right here, okay? You're a douchebag. You're a douchebag. You're a douchebag." Just starts calling people out like left and right. And he's like, "I'm fucking awesome. Okay, you suck." And that's all I have to say about that. I don't know. That's kind of what I got like off cuff. Probably could do better than that, but that's what I got off cuff there.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting take. I think it'd be quite funny to do a sequel where it's like there's like a massive like war triggering event, and Max and everyone at Rushmore is like conscripted.
That's fun right there.
I think the idea of like, or not even everyone at Rushmore, but I think the idea of Max getting conscripted and like I don't know, they end up in like a Vietnam style Forrest Gump type movie, and Max is like put in charge of like a platoon of just like I don't know rednecks or something. I think and Bill Murray just tags along just for the hell of it because he's got nothing better to do. I think that could be an interesting movie.
So like a mixture between like Starship Troopers and Pauly Shore's in the army now.
Yeah, something like that.
All right, I dig that. Okay, cool. That sounds like a good bit of fun right there. I think
I feel Wes
Bob,
Anderson would be the perfect director as well.
who would write the screenplay?
No, I think this would be a fully cooked Wes Anderson.
Oh yeah, the whole kit and caboodle. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I mean, they could have a scene where it's like you're talking about how the missiles are flying, and so like have all the missiles in like stop motion and stuff. Have all the like gruesome war stuff in like stop motion.
Okay, all right, that's nice. Kind of kidify it a little bit.
Yeah, and it's like you could have like a fascist army marching to like.
Yeah, so I gotta be honest with you, dude. Like, so outside of like the little like Swedish or like Bavarian jingle or whatever it is, I didn't really vibe with the soundtrack of this movie. I didn't really think it was like too popping.
It's
It would
interesting because I was reading that a load of songs from the soundtrack are from the British invasion of the 1960s. So I feel that might be why you don't like it, EJ, because I liked it. And I feel as someone who has such a, shall we say, disdain for the United Kingdom as you do, as a true red, white, and blue American, that might be why you didn't like the British invasion soundtrack.
Can I offer you a sandwich?
I'll take the tuna fish.
Okay. All right then. But yeah, that's fine and fair enough. What do we move on to next year? What's our next kind of question for the gang?
I think we can round up with how would this film be different if it were made today?
How would it be different if it were made today? I mean, once again, the default, Kathleen Kennedy, put a chick in it, make her gay. But in fairness, it does kind of seem like Margaret Yang is a chick. She might be gay. Like,
Might be gay.
yeah. Or maybe the person who died like Miss Cross's like special someone, like Eugene Appleby or whatever his name was. Maybe he ends up being a she. So that's something right there. I think you end up with a lot more green screen. Somehow you need to incorporate some green screen into this thing. You also got to get a bit more product placement going on, just a little bit more. It could be like wacky Wes Anderson style products, but you still need a bit of product placement.
Okay, a bit of product placement, bit of a I can dig that. There have to be some sort of unnecessary action sequence as well. But no, I think you hit the nail on the head there.
How about you, Tom,
So
man?
I think EJ, that brings us to the end of this week's podcast.
No. Was I ain't gonna let you off the hook that easily, was it?
Oh, no?
I got one for you. If you could change one thing about this movie to make it more entertaining for you, what would you do?
Ooh, that is a good question. I still like the idea of, we kind of touched on earlier, of the like, instead of Rushmore, just have this as like a preppy, like a even more preppy American high school, and it's like all of the future presidents, just like young versions of them. I think that is quite a good movie.
I got you. So for me, it would be to give every single character Tourette syndrome. So they're going through their lines and they just go like, Max, I'm really proud of you. You fucking shit piece of like hamster wheel.
Okay, so when he's like, he talks to the teacher for the first, Miss Cross, for the first time, is like, instead of saying, and I should mind my own business, well, I should mind my own fucking business. Yeah, okay. I think that could work. It's like, I spent $8 million on this thing. Is that all you're willing to spend? Cunt!
I like rabbits. I like rabbits.
Okay, I think that would certainly make this movie a bit more more entertaining.
Keep you on your toes at the very least. But yeah, that's the last thing I wanted to kind of toss in there.
Yeah, I mean, the Scottish guy kind of seems like he has Tourette's. Max Fisher, you fuck.
I mean, I honestly couldn't understand what the motherfucker was saying the entire time. So I'm just going with the fact that maybe he doesn't have Tourette's. Maybe he's just like illiterate or autistic or something along those lines. Communicates by hand symbols more than.
It's a random choice, because I can't imagine many prestigious American like private schools have like random, very strong accented Scottish people attending them.
Yeah, that's definitely a rogue one for sure. No pun intended there, but definitely out there decision making. But hey, man, that's what you sign up for with our boy Wes. So
That's Hollywood, baby.
Cool, man. Was it you want to kind of take us home here through our kind of final turn?
Indeed. So thanks everyone for tuning in to another episode of the Overcranked podcast, the anti-review rendezvous. Next week, EJ and I will be reviewing a classic film that joins British and American and Irish culture, The Guard, starring Don Cheadle and Brendan Gleeson.
Oh, this is going to be juicy. I'm really looking forward to this one, Connor. I'm really looking forward to this one.
But I think it's going to be good.
Till then, folks, like and subscribe.
Till then, make sure you tune in. Like and subscribe. Very important. It helps us with the algorithm.
Yep, absolutely. 110%. Anyways, guys, we'll catch you next time. Peace easy.
Catch you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.